Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. Welcome back to a new episode. Happy Thursday, everyone. You know, we record every Monday through Friday, so hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. You know, we talk about the Pacers every day. Let's get straight into it. Rest in peace, Nancy Leonard, wife of Slick, now passed away the other day at the age of 93. Big and monumental to the Pacers and the franchise, and just brought a lot to Indy. Always by Bobby Leonard's side when he was our coach. One of the best coaches, perhaps the best coach that Indy's ever had. Now, obviously there was no NBA championships or anything, but during the during the ABA time, the Pacers were one of the most successful teams in the ABA, and they stuck around. They stuck around Indy forever. They went to many games, joined many team activities. They were always there. So I personally think that Nancy should get her own banner next to Bobby. Now that's obviously up to the Pacers to see what they'll do there, but she deserves that banner as much as anyone. But like I said, rest in peace. And yeah, that's that on that. And then now, with Walker Kessler, we've talked about him before, but I think it's time to talk about a little bit of the news that have been coming out. Now, Kessler's been in contract talks with the Jazz for a little bit now, and it doesn't look like anything's really happening. Well, but the reason is Kessler wants a decent contract if he's going to stay on a bad team, because the Jazz, once again, are going to be horrible. They're probably going to be dead last, maybe second to last in the whole NBA when it comes to power rankings by the end of the season in standings. But Kessler might play out this season as a member of the Jazz, the contract he's under. But then next year, he could become a free agent. And what a better team to go than to a Pacers team that should have Halliburton back and should have a full roster. And whatever happens this season, this will still be a very good place for a player like Kessler to end up. Now, obviously, we got to see how Huff does. We got to see the guy who I'm going to talk about next, if he is on the roster. We'll see what Wiseman does and just see how Isaiah Jackson plays as a full-time starter. But, there's really no reason to not go for Walker Kessler if he becomes a free agent, because first off, you don't got to trade anybody for him. But he will need a decent contract, and the Pacers are going to have to be ready to fully commit to potentially going over the luxury tax. Now, I know they didn't do it this year with Miles Turner, and that kind of worries me a little bit. Not because of Turner, but because of the fact that the Pacers aren't fans of going over the luxury tax. Now, teams do it all the time, and it can lead to championships. It can lead to very successful seasons. Obviously, the Pacers have made back-to-back conference finals without going over the luxury tax, but that's not always going to be the case. So hopefully by next season, things change a little bit, and we can finally get, some star caliber players outside of a trade, or just actually go out and sign some big-name players, go over the tax a little bit, and just, not worry about the money too much, but just try to build the best roster you can build. And I feel like the team's going to look a lot different next year. Speaking of different, Wiseman is not fully guaranteed a spot on this roster. Now, there were talks whenever we re-signed him if he was actually going to be the starter, just because Jackson might still need a few days to recover, before he's hit that 12-month span. And we just were unaware of how if J Huff would be fit to start right away. But Wiseman's actually not fully guaranteed a spot on this roster. Now, he's mainly going to have to compete with Tony Bradley and Monte Morris. I personally think Monte Morris is going to have a spot on this team just because we could use the guard depth. We don't really need 4 centers unless we start, unless 2 of them get a bad injury again like they did last year, but I don't see that happening. Knock on wood, of course. But Bradley's a good player. Bradley's been on this team since last year. He actually played, unlike Wiseman, because Wiseman was out. But Wiseman's got to show that he was a second pick for a reason. He has not shown absolutely at all that he deserved to be a second pick in a draft that featured 4 future All Stars, including Halliburton, Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and Tyrese Maxey. That draft itself was very good, but that second pick just confused. Well, at the time it was a good pick because the Warriors did need a center, and I mean he ended up getting a championship. Didn't play, but he ended up getting a championship. But now his career's kind of just all over the place. Now played for a few teams, played for the Pistons, and it hasn't looked too good. So we're hoping that Indiana could be that spot for him. And I'm hoping that he makes the team just because I think he still has a bright future. He's still a young guy and he still has potential. So we're hoping that he can really utilize that. Last but not least, I kind of just want to piggyback into the depth that we have. Now, I did talk about Monte Morris. I think Monte Morris needs to make the team. We can't keep 2 centers over 1 point guard. And we already have 2 centers that are going to be on the team. Huff and Jackson are on the team no matter what. Potentially keep Wiseman, and you need to keep Morris, just in case. Because when we started this season, at least last season, we had Nembhard, Nesmith, and Ben Shepherd all out for months with ankle injuries and just oblique injuries, whatever injury everyone had. Nesmith missed 30 games. Nembhard missed around 20. Shepherd missed almost half the season pretty much without oblique injury. And we had good depth, but the problem is we didn't have a lot of defense when those players was out. So that's really when our team kind of crumbled a little bit, and we did not start the season very well. But obviously once everyone got healthy, we, got back on track and everything looked really good. So we really need to keep as much guard depth as we have. And obviously we drafted 2 guards in the draft, but we still don't know how they're going to pan out because they were both second-round picks. But keep Monte Morris for the experience and just see how it goes. But that just means that either Bradley or Wiseman will be a free agent after training camp, and either one of them will be picked up by someone. But, I'm just hoping that the Pacers make the right decision. We have good depth. We have good forward depth. We have good guard depth. So now we really just need to fully figure out what this team wants in terms of everything else. But as always, I am your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby. And go, Sirs.